Welcome, guys. That was seamless, and everybody's laughing in the background because we all know what's going on. Got the full Tom Selleck look. You've all been really polite because I've got a mustache, but we all know Tom Selleck was a Man United fan, and nobody checked that. That's true. So, yeah.
Trace, I've been really distracted over here trying to get something done, and I was going to rinse you as soon as we got on live. So,
it's jumping in and out of mute there, Joe. I can't hear. Is anybody else finding that same issue? Oh, the signal's gone a little bit there, Joe.
Can you hear me?
A little bit. It's coming back now a little bit, mate. But it's the signal just went a little bit there on the connection. I don't know if you're. I know you're doing some work in the background, aren't you, on your videos? It's breaking up a bit there, mate. But yeah, we'll come back to you on that one, Joe. Probably taking a mick out of it.
Can you hear me
A
now?
little bit, yeah. It's just jumping in and out. But yeah, we'll get started anyway. We'll back at it Mondays. A little bit later tonight because normally we've been starting at 9. But yeah, we've got plenty to talk about. Obviously, the game yesterday against Everton, another 3 points. I know John and Mr. Tom were on the show yesterday, so me and Joe are doing a bit of catch up on feeding you all in with our views and opinions. But yeah, we've got plenty to talk about tonight. We want to talk a bit about the kind of Martial injury episode again. Obviously, we want to touch upon that. Ronaldo's 700 goals. We'll talk a little bit about that to start off the hour. But we want to talk about the top 4 chances as well. Have we got a chance now to kind of make top 4? Do we think it's more realistic than where we were at the start of the season? And then we'll look at sort of the next few games and where we think we're going to be at over the next 3. Obviously, we've got the Europa League game against Ammonia at home on Thursday, and then the game against Newcastle. Then I think we're at home again against Spurs. So start off the hour, guys. We'll. I think Joe just started off there, but Ronaldo 700 goals. I'm sure you and John, Mr. Tom, had plenty to talk about that yesterday, a little bit in the moment, but I'll come to you both again and just briefly talk about kind of what an amazing kind of career it's been for Ronaldo, and it'll feed nicely into your topic, Mr. Tom. But obviously, is Ronaldo maybe is that a chance for him to turn a bit of a corner, do you think, for his season?
I don't know, man. I'm happy for him to get the 700 goals, obviously, soon and all of that. But I just feel like, just like I said yesterday on the show yesterday, the intensity has dropped off a lot for me. And obviously, Ronaldo at his age is not going to increase that intensity right now, is he? So I said it back in the last season on the channel. I feel like he's going to be the biggest problem at United, and I feel like we need to get rid of him in this summer. And I said that was the situation. I just feel like we needed to move on from Ronaldo. I feel like I might be wrong here. He can't play, especially the running, if I'm correct, till the World Cup. It's literally Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. I don't know if it's a Thursday, Monday, but I'm pretty sure it's Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday.
This is where John does his own work in the background and tells me that's
because if that's the case, we all know Ronaldo can't play every single. Do you know what I mean? He's gonna have to. So, and it seems like this manager does like to have that rhythm in players. And is it a case? Or I don't want to start that conversation yet, but yeah, I'm happy for Ronaldo. But yeah, we'll go into the strike conversation in a minute, and then I'll start that little. But I'm happy for Ronaldo, man. He deserves it. He's won a lot and he's achieved everything in the game, innit? What's there to play for now, man? He's achieved everything. Right now, I feel like if he plays, it's pretty much. I don't know if anyone or any of the viewers watch basketball. It's like LeBron James, just playing for numbers and just to beat more records right now. Like they've achieved everything. That's all it is.
His celebration was quite telling, wasn't it? Because it felt as if it was that a sign of him, like maybe I can literally just chill out.
I can rest now. Like,
yeah, I can just chill out and then maybe.
Let me take a 5-minute break. Wait 1 second. Anthony, do you want to join me?
Yeah, maybe seem like R9 in a year's time, but I can't see that being CR7 to be fair. But Joe, have we got you there, Joe? Is the Wi-Fi back? You there, Joe?
No.
It's dipping out in and out. I know he was doing a few bits behind the scenes. Maybe he's just doing a bit of uploading there. It's just taking his signal away. But we'll give him a shout in a second. John, Ronaldo 700, amazing, isn't it? And hopefully he can kick on and give us a few more goals this season. And he's got his big opportunity now, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And I said on the show last night, for me, he's the best goal scorer I've ever seen. I've been watching football for probably for almost a quarter of a century, and it's arguably the best ever goal scorer in the game. But for me, he's his goal was brilliant yesterday. The way he outpace Cody and creates that chance. And even though he obviously didn't have the best night in Cyprus the other night, but overall his forward playing, he obviously had a role in both Rashford's goals, and I think Thursday was just really unlucky. He would have had 2 or 3 on another night. I think it was pleasing that was his only real chance he had in the game, and he took it. And I think that's what Ronaldo brings. Obviously got a penalty away at Sheriff, but for me, he just needed a proper goal, an open play goal to get him going, and he got that yesterday. And I do back him to go on and score and run. Hope he'll get a few before we go off for the World Cup. And that thing is on 144 goals for United now. Hopefully, by the time the World Cup comes, hopefully we'll be close to 150. Hopefully, if not surpass it. And but I think he'll definitely get your goals. And Ten Hag did say in his first press conference, when he got the job, that he'll get your goals. And for me, while he is 37 years old, he's not got the pace he used to have. But for me, he can still be a valuable contributor. And I do back him to score a few for us this season.
No, yeah, definitely. I hope so. I mean, I think it'll be a fitting tribute to the end of Ronaldo, which will inevitably come either January or the end of the year, won't it? I think. And last thing we want to see is that kind of relationship being burnt in an era where obviously the team's kind of moving on, and it's good to see in one sense, but obviously we hate to see that Ronaldo's kind of leaving under a cloud. Joe, your feelings on Ronaldo? I think we all kind of want to see, the team move on from this, but you can't ignore the fact that the guy's a living legend and he's 700. It's amazing, isn't it? You there, Joe? The internet's not playing ball tonight at all, is it? No. We'll come back to Joe anyway on that one.
Can you hear me at all?
No, the signal's really, really poor, Joe. It's in and out, mate. We'll give you 5. I'll come back to you. Yeah, go ahead on that one. Sorry about that, Joe. I'll show you back in a second. But so we'll move on. Mr. Ton, your topic really, it's the Martial one, which is kind of feeds into the Ronaldo thing, obviously. And a bit from my perspective, was it too soon to bring Martial back in? But it's one we spoke about pre-season, wasn't it? That regardless of whether Martial could stay fit or not at that point in pre-season, he was fit. But we were always worried that could he stay fit for a season? Obviously injured again for the second time now, already sort of 9 games in. We've got striker issues, haven't we? And I know Ronaldo's there and obviously scored this weekend, but is Ronaldo a long-term option just for us this season? Do you want to kind of get into your topic, mate? And
so right now for me, I feel like I wouldn't call it a concern as such right now, but it is a slight concern if then, let's say Martial, he has all these problems for the rest of the season now, and then we're in a scenario where Rashford picks up a little niggle, right? Then Ronaldo plays a couple games, gets another. What was it he had last season? He's hip problems or he's having back problems towards it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's my concern. There's an overall striker concern, and I feel like we're in a situation. And someone said it to me that couple of weeks. Was it last week? It might have been last week. Said what Man United need to do is just buy a striker that stays fit, and you won't have to worry about 3 strikers staying fit. Like literally, you don't. Especially we operate now. What we've been doing for the last couple of years, operate with one striker up front. Don't get me wrong, Martial, and especially shout out to Martial FC. Martial has been coming on and doing the business. Do you know what I mean? Pre-season did the business, and even that brief spell of him yesterday, you could see what he could add to our team. But same thing with Varane last season. Availability is the best ability. Like what? Like I just feel like right now he's gonna have to be more effective as a super sub. Because, and I think I was on a show with you recent pre-season. I was like, my concern this season was his body, and that's an issue. It's like, and Ten Hag mentioned that this is a different issue. And I don't know if anyone's played football before, but if you've had a long spell out, and when you get in, you do get little niggles at first. You might have your calf just tenses up. You might have your lower back. You might even feel your shoulder. It's something crazy because when you haven't, do you know what I mean, played football for a long while, your body's not used to that. And then I feel like he's just going to have to do something. But I feel like we're at a crossroads, not just with the striker situation, but I would say that is definitely a situation we clearly wanted to aim in the market. And it seems like the one name that keeps popping up, and I know he's playing left wing at his current club, is Gakpo. But he's been talked about as a striker option. And I definitely, obviously, Ronaldo's age, Martial issues, and I've even got a slight concern about Rashford because I've noticed since the Arsenal game where he got injured, he's not been playing with the same intensity off the ball. Up until the Arsenal game, this guy's work rate was amazing. I'm not going to lie. His running off the ball was different, as in his defensive work was different. And I've noticed because he picked up an injury from doing that, and plus he wants to go to the World Cup. Is there something in his head like, oh, let me just, take a gear down a bit? And
it's almost like a distraction issue, isn't there? They seem to sort of forget for a moment that oh god, I should have been running and tracking him down there. I noticed it yesterday a little bit. He was a little bit distant up until his goal that got disallowed, which was a little unfair. I felt like he was a little quiet in that game. But
yeah.
I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, you look at Arsenal's team now, and it's a very, let's be honest, it's a very similar sort of way in which we're trying to play, isn't it? With those two kind of wingers, and that do we need a striker that's necessarily providing? It might seem silly, but providing goals, like is it not somebody like when Martial comes in? It's almost like he's there to link up with the wingers as well.
Yeah, because yesterday I noticed. I don't know if anyone else notices. Martial was coming deeper than Bruno. And so someone that I talk to a lot, engage with a lot, especially I met him on Twitter, he actually suggested something one time. Martial wouldn't need to do that if he had a better midfield. If he had a midfield that was more fluent, Martial if that makes sense, you wouldn't need a striker like Martial in his team right now. You would need a striker more like a Haaland or someone else, or just someone that can score goals. But because our midfield is the way it is, it makes sense for Martial coming into the team and linking up and being that. Because I did notice it when especially that spell we was having high possession, he was coming deep and linking up. He is good at that. I'm going to give him credit for that. He is good at that. Yeah. Everyone knows he's good at that. But it's just, like I said, availability is the best ability. Do you know what I mean? You can't be made out of glass. Jack Wilshere was one of the best midfielders I've seen come out of England. But the way he played, like typical, Spanish or continental, he's playing style, but he was made out of glass. Do you know what I mean? It's just, like, what are we supposed to do? I feel like we have to. The striker position, we have to somehow, if we can, like Ten Hag said, if there's an opportunity in January, we have to go for it. And Ronaldo seems like persistent to want to leave. So let's see what happens, man.
This is what, like, you can all hear me now. Yay!
Yeah, we can hear you.
We did it.
Nintendo 64 character, yeah.
Do you know what? It's like, shut up, John. Also, I was doing my head in. You all look perfect, so it felt like you were a bit like taking the piss that you couldn't see or hear me. I was like, I can see you guys, so you have to even see me. I just think we're giving Ronaldo way too much credit, to be honest. It would have been a different story if he didn't actively want to leave and we had to beg him to stay to sit on the bench and earn 800 grand a week. That'd be different. I was really happy that we won yesterday. And I was happy that an out of form striker scored a lovely striker's finish. But I'm not going to celebrate him getting 700 goals. I'm not going to cheer on the magnificent career where he scored 700 goals. 556 of those goals weren't for us. 3 of those goals were against us. So I think it's kind of, let's just be like, well done, Ronaldo. Good for you. You wanted to leave in the summer. You were like a god. You were probably the closest we would have, if you had stuck around with us instead of leaving to go to Real Madrid, you probably would have a statue by now. You probably have a stand named after you, but you didn't. You left and you scored 556 goals that weren't with our club. Then when you came back, you had one, I think, grand season where you got a lot of goals, but the rest of the team suffered because of you. A team that was in second place that went down to, if every other team wasn't terrible, we probably would have been in 10th place. And then after all that, he actively wanted to leave. So good for him. I'm not going to fawn over him. Messi's better. Thanks for winning the game for us yesterday, but that's as much as I care. If you leave in January, you're an embarrassment. If you stick around to the summer, win us a trophy, I'll give you a high five. But I don't care that he got 700 goals, and I think it's slightly embarrassing for the club to make it seem like he scored 700 goals for us. Everything else aside, I agree with everything Mr. Tom said about Anthony Martial. The wonderful Temi, who used to be a regular on the show, now has his own channel as well. We used to have loggerheads at each other about Martial or Rashford. The good thing about this season so far, even though we've only seen glimpses of Martial, is that him and Rashford have shown why they shouldn't be compared and why they should be enjoyed as a duo or a 2 in a trio. And if Martial gets fit, I feel for the first time since when we were behind closed doors, that he can fulfill his potential. The same with Rashford as well. So that's a lot of excitement for us. But as Mr. Tom said, he has to stay fit. It's incredibly frustrating. The most important thing is reliability. That's the greatest attribute anyone can have, as he said. So we get rid of Ronaldo, bring in. Do you know? Do you think the United board look back and go, maybe we should have trusted in Solskjaer and gone for Haaland, even with the thing in his contract, with the release clause in his contract, instead of signing Ighalo? Do you think they ever look back and go, oh, the cult hero? I hate the fact that Ighalo is a cult hero. I hate it because it shows exactly like he came in and was scored like relatively important, like tiny bit of important goals, or scored like goals that we went, yeah, good man. But we could have had Haaland. We could have had Haaland for 30-something million. He would have been gone by now to Real Madrid, or maybe he would have been worse, gone to City. But where do you think we wouldn't have a trophy? Do you think we wouldn't have challenged properly for a Premier League title? No. And we would have had Jack Grealish as well. There's a lot of revisionist history that's been going on now, that trying to blame Solskjaer or make him into a deity. But the one thing that is a fact, if he was trusted, if in the transfer window, we would have, maybe they could be gone by now, but we would have had 2 of the hottest prospects in world football. But instead, we got Ighalo, who everyone loves for no reason. And now we're stuck with a 38-year-old who used to be the best player in the world, but hasn't been for a while. This is what the problem with the club. The club isn't Ten Hag's issue. Ronaldo can go. The issue is the board, and always will be the board. But thanks for scoring the winner yesterday.
But you've checked mate John here, because I'm not sure how John can follow that, but we'll find out.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Well, Ronaldo's more reliable than Martial when it comes to playing time, isn't he? So
yeah,
no, I agree. I think Miss makes a good point about it just seems a lot of our players can't seem to keep fit. I mean, it's not just the forwards. You think of some of the players haven't played this season who are injured, like Donny van der Beek and Phil Jones, Brandon Williams, Wan-Bissaka. They haven't played at all yet. They're injured, and players like it's so frustrating, Martial, but you gotta make a decision eventually with him, and possibly Rashford as well, because they've only got like 2 years left on their contract.
Yeah, wait, ain't Martial and then Rashford's contract coming to an end soon? Am I going? I know Rashford is.
I think Martial is 2024, I think.
Oh,
so they're gonna have to make a decision soon, whether, if he keeps getting injured, which unfortunately I do expect him to, he just can't seem to keep him. His injuries when he went on at Sevilla, he was ravaged with there, and it's really unfortunate because he's playing really well at the moment. But I am concerned about if our players start picking up injuries, and even Sancho's picked up a couple of nickels here and there as well. So you might be, you're hoping not, but it might go down to the bare bone, and it's concerning that we might not sign anyone in January, because I think there are some good options you can get in January potentially, and I think Ronaldo's an out-and-out goals for it, but what Martial brings is obviously the link between the players, and he obviously once he scored a goal or set up one every 20 odd minutes or something this season, and I think that's what he brings, and he links all the players, the front three and Bruno together, and you're going to need to try and look for a player like that who can do similar kind of work, and I think obviously eventually you'll have to look for Ronaldo replacement in terms of an out-and-out goal scorer, but for me, I think you got to look at the issue long term, and it is concerning if we start to pick up a few injuries.
What puts us in a fighting chance then of getting a striker in January? Do you think, John? Do you think it's a case of we need to be sort of in and around that top 4 place by? It's going to be difficult, but with the World Cup sort of in between. But like around January time, we've got to be in that kind of top 4 position and still in with a good shout of that. Do you think, to give us a fighting chance of luring the type of player that we want?
I think it all comes down. Well, I wouldn't even put it that much, but I mean, there won't be any money available. I think the Glazers will want some of their money, won't they? So it just depends if they're nice enough to give some to get a forward in for that 30 million. I mean, you could easily sell a couple of players in January, like for example, if Van der Beek's not going to get a go, you might as well sell him, and there's a couple of other players, so you can raise funds, but it's whether they choose to do so, and that's my biggest worry. It's not where we are in the league, it's whether they'll look to sign, and obviously the World Cup coming up, we don't know where we'll be after the World Cup in terms of our squad. Hopefully most of them will be fit and ready to go the second half of the season, but you never know, some of our players might pick up big injuries at the World Cup, so you'll just have to wait and see, won't we? But I don't expect too much in January.
No, fair enough. Well, but we'll move on. And John, it's feeding into your topic, mate, in terms of Anthony. Obviously, he's had a really good start to the season. 3 in his first 3 Premier League games, which is a first for any Man United player, as I'm sure you wanted to mention to the dry eye in your mouth. But just as a kind of devil's advocate to this, and Scholes is not one, although he used to be, he's not one shy of mentioning his views in the media these days. And he mentioned, obviously, Anthony was a one-trick pony. He actually said it doesn't run in behind. Seems to be a little bit of a one-trick pony. He's always cutting inside and either passing back to the full-back or having a shot. You're thinking he needs to develop a little bit. It's early days for him. We know that. So, I mean, obviously, good start, but do you sort of agree with some of those comments from Scholesy, or?
A little bit. I mean, did he say that after the derby last week? I can't remember, because I think it
was during the game, and then he seemed
during
to be,
the game, right?
Yeah, and then I think he mocked it up with a bit of a. He ate his own words when he sort of banged in the goal.
I think he said he played quite well yesterday. But I think with Anthony, of course, that's an achievement from himself scoring first 3 Premier League games, because no other United players ever done that. We've had some great players who were signed in the Premier League, and I think my discussion is, he hasn't been perfect. I mean, he has scored the 3 goals, but in terms of like his covering the fullback in particular with Dalot, it's not been great. It could be improved, but I'm sure as they get more used to playing with each other, that should hopefully improve. And I think he likes to cut in on his left a lot as well. I mean, it would be nice to see him take on a player like and try and see if he can use his right foot and that sometimes. But I do think it's been a good side because obviously we signed him for 80 million. And you would have known if he played a couple of bad games in the Premier League, the media would be all over him, so they're not really talking about him. So the fact that it's not been spoken about shows he's had a good start. And he got a couple, and all three of his goals have been really good goals. Obviously, the Derby goal didn't necessarily matter, but he got the crucial equaliser yesterday, and he got the opening goal against Arsenal last month. So, I just wanted to discuss it in terms of because that right wing position has been a big issue for us for probably around a decade or so now. Is he one where, while it's been a good start, it can get better, but is he looking like someone where he'll probably solve our right wing issues, or is it too early to say?
No, Mr. Tom, what's your views on that? Do you think he's the solution to the problem that we've had on that right hand side for quite a long time, since probably Valencia? And was he necessarily the main answer to the Ronaldo problem, which is probably the right winger?
I didn't think Valencia was at the time. Anyway, I'll be honest with you, because I remember him playing centre mid for Wigan, so I was thinking, well, what the hell are we doing here? But he was a good servant for the club. As in terms for Anthony, you can say it's 3 games, 3 goals. I don't think his performances have been, above a 6.5 in my opinion. Even though he scored a good goal against City, that was a really good goal. But I just feel like there's still levels to go. John did mention about using his right foot, or Ten Hag did mention that after the game in Amsterdam, we did train him on that, so he can do that. And he did cross a couple of times on his right foot. But I think with us right now, you're not going to see a lot of crosses for Anthony. And I said this before, I think in the summer, if we get him, who's he crossing to? That's the problem there. He always looked for Haller, far post or on Haller's head or body. He always aimed for Haller. He doesn't have no one to aim for at the moment for crossing wise. Do you know what I mean? But most of his goals, though, when he was at Ajax, he did score mainly on transition, which is funny how 2 of those goals have been on a transition. Well, one in the build-up play, but if you understand what I'm saying, when Rashford passed him through, it's more like he's on the move and scores. Listen, I feel like that has been an issue for many years. I've said that. I've talked about it on the show, right winger with a left foot. Some could say Greenwood, but some would want him as a striker. There was Di Maria. We know how that ended. There was Adnan at number 10 playing on the wing. We've not really had, I can't remember we've not really had a right winger that was left-footed in the modern style of football in this decade, if I can remember. Like I said, apart from Di Maria, really, I can't remember enough of one like that. Like I said, Greenwood was a 9.5, like Ralph said. He can play striker, just a forward, isn't it? But Anthony, you can tell the way he plays his game, he's more just of a winger. He's not someone that I don't think you can play as a striker or play across all 3 positions. He can maybe go on the other side now and then, but that right side is mainly predominantly where he can play.
It's a bit of a Sancho conundrum, isn't it? And I think with both those players at their former clubs, they had a lot of runners running off them as well, which ended up helping their game quite a lot. And we're suffering out with it. We're a little bit. I mean, yesterday, low block against Everton, we struggled to break teams down in that situation. And 2 goals came from, let's be honest, winning the ball in the midfield, counter-attacking, winning the ball back and breaking, which is like...
Yeah, Reece, now you've mentioned that, I actually talked about that on the space today. When Anthony was at Ajax, so what he had is, he had Mazraoui, overlap. He also had Berghaus, who he played as a 1-2, like they can play 1-2s off as well. So that's your midfielder coming in, playing 1-2s off. So it was like, he had those players out on that right side who he operated with, if that makes sense, in that area. It was Mazraoui and Berghaus. And at the moment, you don't see a lot of that with us at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes he does get isolated out there, so he passes backwards or passes inside. It is like that, isn't it? It's like we were saying.
I think that's where we're going to miss a Martial. I mean, when you look at Jesus at Arsenal, it's very much similar to his role at Man City, where he's not really playing as a sole number 9. He can drift over and come and help the wingers out a little bit and interchange those passes and bring other people into play. But no, I totally agree. Joe, what's your views on Anthony? Obviously, as the guys have said, a really, really good start. And
yeah,
obviously a very young player, promising talent, obviously doing well at Brazil as well. But, you know, is there more to come, a lot more to come from him? Well, I hope there is. But
yeah. No, look, guys, if he continues having 6 out of 10s, but the scores in every single game, I think we'll be fine with that. Like when Sancho came last season, I don't remember how long it took him to register a goal or an assist. So we have to be happy that the fact that a £90 million signing is like affecting a game immediately. We always knew it would take time, and it will take time. But I'm more than happy as long as he's continued to score. I'm more than happy to let him for all the time in the world. And the quality of goal has been really high as well. I know the City was an absolute belter, but like the team goal against Arsenal and the finish as well. And yeah, the goal yesterday was a little bit of a scuff. I think the Pickford got a hand to it. I can't remember, but it's that same corner, and but he's going to be dangerous no matter what. And his performances will improve, and he's under the coach that knows him better than anyone. So like he will go up to the next level. It's all just a matter of when. But like if he just continues scoring, I couldn't give a shit, to be honest. He's doing what many other heavy price signings aren't doing in the Premier League right now, and that is good scoring on a continuous basis. So the overall performances will come, but the lad said it perfectly. So I'm not concerned at all. I think when he goes to the next level, I think that's scary, and I hope that happens. I hope he will go to the World Cup, but he should go to the World Cup. And I think post that will be interesting, especially if Brazil have a good tournament, which they're expecting. So, like, if you look at the players, actually, we look at the World Cup, which would be an interesting one. How many of our players do you think will go far in the tournament? Because I kind of have Argentina as an early favourite, and Brazil, seemingly, I was talking to someone yesterday who thinks Brazil have a really good chance as well. Tim Vickery does. So I feel like we have a lot of important players who could have an important World Cups, which means, well, what does that mean? Does that mean they come back to like a hero's welcome, of course, but then to like raise their game again or continue at that level on that high, or will they drop down like a lot of English footballers did last season? I know I slightly went off topic with that, but I think it's interesting to know if Anthony does light up the World Cup, he could come back as maybe £180 million signing player.
I mean, I personally think, I don't want to sure if he's necessarily keeping out Martinelli, but when you watch him yesterday, it's Martinelli obviously, I mean, been a little bit more settled in the Arsenal team to put in the kind of performance he did in these last few games. But there's some competition there, isn't there? So it can only be healthy for United players that they've got a kind of level of national kind of competition, that they're all hunting for a World Cup place. I think the England team's a bit of a funny one because we're seemingly on this kind of weird grey patch, aren't we, where the team's not necessarily performing really well. We've now got straight into a World Cup.
Would you mind not saying we when I'm present? Because it is most certainly, I will be supporting everyone England are playing. I am Iranian, I'm from the United States, and I am Welsh.
You're Welsh now, yeah, I'm going to say. Yeah.
Welsh, Iranian, and American.
Well, I'm disappointed, but there we go.
well, my wife's American, so I'm part American. Shame
there you
go. Make it.
I can't.
Thank you, John.
I can't confess to be a very big England fan anyway.
No, Ireland will be my second team, but fortunately they're not there. But they beat France in the Euro qualification anyway, Joe.
Yeah, anyway, back to England being shit. Yeah, or the grey patch.
Yeah, I think generally it's. I don't know if the World Cup's good in the middle of a season, but it's you've got to assume it's going to be good for confidence, haven't you? I think that's kind of what Anthony needs next. He needs that confidence that, like you're seeing again, like I say, from Martinelli. I think that, he's obviously going from strength to strength, and that's just what he needs. That's what he'll thrive from that, and then obviously more games will breed more confidence, and playing at the highest level will just help him. I think that's all he needs now, isn't it? Just having that kind of confidence, trying things in games that come off, and then trying it again, and then before you know it, kind of runs from there. I mean, that's going back to the Ronaldo days in terms of the old Ronaldo. That's how it transpired for him, wasn't it? He just tried things, probably tried too much in times. I'm sure he was getting an earful from your likes of your Giggs and your Scholes and your Keanes and stuff like that, and definitely Ruud van Nistelrooy at the time. But he just kept doing it and doing it and doing it to the point where he got a level of consistency. And I think that's what I'm not saying Anthony's going to be at that kind of level. There's not many players that ever will sort of achieve that level, but he just needs that consistency, doesn't he? Where he's just having confidence to try other things that possibly other players don't have the ability to try. And he's clearly got that ability. So it's just, I've got a lot of faith in him. He seems like a good, grounded kid. So hopefully he can, just like you say, Joe, keep scoring in games and we'll all be kind of happy, won't we? So, right, well, moving on. Your topic, Joe. So in terms of kind of top four aspirations, do we feel as if we are now getting close to assuming that we might have a good chance of getting in there? Do you want to have your say?
I think like it's the minimum now. I think we're it's one case of every other team. It's the typical thing of not wanting it. I'm sure Chelsea will come good, and Newcastle and their dirty money will find their ways up the table as well. But I think we have a quality manager. We have a team that is playing in unison, that want to play for the manager, want to play for themselves, and we are winning games. And when we're winning games comfortably as well as winning games dirty. So I don't think I think Arsenal will fall. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. And I think that City, of course, will win the league comfortably. But I think if you come back in April, I think like us, maybe Arsenal, I feel like they will fall a bit though. We should be in a really comfortable position. We should be 10, 15 points clear of, I'd say, even fourth place. I think you're looking at a dogfight between maybe Liverpool and Chelsea for fourth place at the moment anyway. And you'd have to say Chelsea at the moment just because when the new manager bounce comes in and Liverpool just haven't got the players that are not going to strengthen in January. And if anything, they might lose players through injury from the World Cup. So I think we really should be comfortably favourites to get a top four spot. Not, challenge for the title, unfortunately, but to be second or third. I don't think there's really any reason. I do think, as you were saying before, we do need a striker because we don't have one that's reliable or good anymore. So if we get that guaranteed goals and guaranteed someone up there that can threaten, I feel there's no reason. And with the money that's spent and the quality of player we've brought in as well, like the likes of Martinez and Anthony is scoring and Sancho's playing better and Rashford is playing better and Martial is playing better, that really it is the bare minimum that we should be getting top four and hopefully a trophy as well.
We've got a bit of depth in there, haven't we, as well? I mean, that's usually a telltale sign where teams will finish up. Obviously City have got an unbelievable amount of depth, so that they're just in a stratosphere on their own at this moment in time and whether they're playing football. But, Liverpool are another injury or two away from really dropping off. Arsenal really rely on that kind of first 11. If they get an injury or two, they'll drop off. Chelsea have obviously got a new manager in, so they're trying to figure things out. Brighton are obviously playing on a bit of a wave, a crest of a wave at the minute, and obviously Newcastle the same. And Spurs are just kind of moments away from just doing a typical Spursy type mentality where they drop off a cliff as well. So we've got to believe, haven't we? I mean, Dan's saying there. Hi to Dan, by the way, was hosting the other night, but still thinking we're too excited to get top four. I don't disagree with you, Joe. I think we've got to be thinking and being ambitious. That's the whole point with Man United fans, isn't it? That's just what we need to be thinking.
But it's not an achievement as well, to get top four. We should be challenging for the title at least. But it is a progression. And I think, I don't even think I'm getting too excited. I think it's a damning season now. If we really fall off the face of it and don't get top four, I think it's been a very, very disappointing season.
Yeah, I can't lie. I mean, John, I'll come to you next on this, but I mean, obviously I think I wouldn't be necessarily disappointed with Ten Hag's first season and everything else, but I think if we are after Christmas sort of in with a fight and we're firmly in that top four place, then we'd then have to be disappointed, wouldn't we, to not then get that top four spot?
Yeah, definitely. And I think he's obviously showing signs that the team is improving. Obviously, we aside from the derby last week, we're looking very hard to beat, and I think we'll probably have the goods. I think I mean, City's the only one you guarantee to get in the top four at the moment. They'll win the league. But I think everybody else, you can't really say for definite who will get in. Obviously, Arsenal looking good at the moment. Tottenham have done okay. Chelsea have had a couple of good results under Potter. I do think it's a bit difficult to say at this moment, but I do think we're certainly in the mix for that. And I think it's about consistency. Can we go on a winning run? And I think it might simply come down to whether if a team as from City was to win something like 6 or 7 games in a row, that could make a big difference in terms of like where you finish in the league and that. And obviously Liverpool had a bad start, but you know, players like Salah not going to the World Cup, it might benefit from that break at the World Cup, and it can also depend on after the World Cup, and obviously for players who are playing at the World Cup, they're probably tired towards the end of the season, that kind of thing. So I think it can also depend on who's affected by the World Cup, and you know, Arsenal might be top of the league come start the World Cup, but if a few of their players get injured, and it's hard to restart that momentum then after the World Cup, because then it'll feel almost like a different league all of a sudden. But yeah, I would expect us to be in the mix, and hopefully we do finish maybe top 2 or 3. Hopefully it'd be nice, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we've got to be ambitious, but equally there's a slight element of realism to it. Mr. Tom, what's kind of your views now? You know, after what has it been 9 games now? You know, is there a bit more of a view on the team? I personally don't feel like we've controlled games yet and shown a clear vision in terms of like yesterday. Yeah, we won the game, as Joe said, and he's right. We won the game. Maybe it wasn't pretty, but we got the 3 points. But I want to see a pretty game now where we create an abundance of chances and maybe come away winning 3-4-0. And we haven't seen that this season, have we? So are we getting a little bit sort of carried away with maybe a top 4?
I everything you said, Reece, I agree with you. I said it on the space after the game yesterday, and people was getting onto me, and I was just like, well, look, that's how I evaluate games. I looked at the game, and I saw, especially the second half, if Everton was on a better day or they had better players, they could have buried us. I'll be honest with you. I saw a team that they had more conviction, could have scored a lot more goals, and it's about when they attack. When they attack, they was attacking with more conviction than us than when we attack, if that makes sense. And I said it concerned me for the running. Do you know what I mean? Newcastle, Spurs, Chelsea. That concerned me. That performance. I'll be honest with you, it did. And people are getting on to me. I just don't watch games on emotions. When I watch games, it's like the best way to say it, I watch it with a coach head, if that makes sense. And I said it on the channel before. There's an opportunity for us to get top 4. Liverpool are not on it. Spurs are wishy-washy right now. Chelsea got a new manager. Do you know what I mean? There is an opportunity there. The only 2 teams that seem like on it are Man City and Arsenal. And Arsenal, as much as even myself, I have to see them get across the line first. They're playing some good football. I'll be honest with you. I can't deny that. I even said it yesterday in a couple of my group chats. I can't even banter them right now. They're playing good football. They're not Banner FC right now. They're actually playing good football. What do you want me to like? There's literally, do you know what I mean? Reason I can't banter them right now. They generally, if you watch them, like I watched them in the Europa League as well. On the way they're playing football, the way that even when the midfielders are receiving the ball, they're in acres of space somehow. Like they're playing some brilliant stuff. I'll be honest. If anyone, I know they're Arsenal and they're rivals, but they're playing some good stuff. And that's that. Like I said, can they sustain it? Is the main thing. Do you know what I mean? Is it sustainable throughout the season, their form? And that's the thing. Until I see them get across that line, that hurdle, I'm not going to be like, yeah, do you know what I mean? But they are playing good. I'm not going to deny them that. Man City, we know what Man City is. And like I said, the opportunity is there. I said it on the channel, I think about a couple of weeks ago. Liverpool's have one of those blips. Spurs are wishy-washy. If you literally watch Spurs, they're so open. It's like some old school Italian tactics from 1999 where they're super defensive and they wait for a counter-attacking opportunity and put you to bed if they can, innit, on the day. But if you all get opportunities against them, that's the thing. And then Chelsea, they've got a new manager, so as much as I'm seeing a lot of good attacking patterns in the way they're playing, more than I saw on the Tuchel, it's still a new manager. It might be the new manager bounce. We don't know yet. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I said, it's an opportunity. Yeah, we got Newcastle and all these other teams, but there is an opportunity for Man United. If we can get a run of games, it's there. It's just like what you said, Reece. It's about playing a bit more convincingly for me right now, because it's a good thing we're actually getting some of those wins and we're not playing pretty and convincingly. So if we can then, transition from that to be playing better and dominate and control games, I don't see an issue. And I said that it's like right now I'm seeing it. I'm seeing us that once we sort out these couple of areas and you can see it on the pitch, we're going to go up way more levels. You can literally see it. You literally see it when you're watching the game. If we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players more, you literally can see it. We're going to it's a process right now, but that's the good thing, is that I'm seeing the patterns of play. I'm seeing everything, and I'm seeing once Ten Hag gets his player there, player B, or a new goalkeeper, whatever striker, you can see it, man. I'll be honest with you.
I just can't remember the last time I was on kind of the edge of my seat watching 3 or 4 chances flying into the box, shots coming off, where you're like, oh God, we're really on the top now.
That will come. I feel like it will come, man.
We have done it a little bit the past couple of games, but not as well.
Not a high rate.
No. But I think we've created a future. Like we should have scored more in Cyprus. We should have scored more in the first half yesterday. So, but I do agree that it has to get better. And I think yesterday was, I suppose, it was the first time I felt we controlled the game in the league yesterday. Not saying it was perfect, but in terms of possession and the fact that Everton didn't, I know they scored in the first 5 minutes, but they didn't really open us up that much. Obviously, they were pushing for the equaliser at the end, but I thought yesterday, we should have scored more. We're perhaps a bit more in control yesterday, I felt. But we need to do it more consistently and do it better, and I'm sure we will.
Yeah, no. Well, hopefully so. I mean, I think we're in the best place we could be. Obviously, there's been some initial downs, hasn't there? And then we seem to have turned a little bit of a corner and got some wins that probably we didn't expect at the start of the season. The Arsenal, Liverpool games in particular, but we're in a pretty good place. I think in terms of Joe's come back in. I'll just let Joe back in.
That's so annoying. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so I just want to kind of move on to the next few games then, really. And obviously we've got the Europa League game coming up this Thursday against Ammonia. So it's another chance to kind of get a little bit more of a foothold in that game at home, and obviously stretch away a little bit in the group as well. But some tricky games coming up in the league. Newcastle, albeit we're at home, and then obviously Spurs Wednesday night at home, so a midweek Premier League game at home as well. But just who
do we just remind me? Who do we have this weekend?
So this weekend we have Newcastle on Sunday. Yeah.
What time?
That's at 2:00.
2:00. Okay.
Yeah. So
Wednesday Spurs. Okay.
Wednesday Spurs. So a few days. Only a few days, and then we've got a Saturday game. So it's a few, like I say, the next 3 or 4 pretty tricky games, really. But yeah, well, I mean, what's everyone's feelings on kind of those next few games? Obviously, the next one being a Europa League game. Obviously, a chance to get a bit more confidence within the team. Plus, Ten Hag's kind of first 11. I think there's been some questions on his initial first 11 at the start of the season, most notably sort of Casemiro, McTominay, that switch around. I think Shaw played quite well yesterday, showing a little bit of fitness.
Yeah, he did,
fitness back. So what's everyone's thoughts on kind of the Shaw one and the Casemiro one? Do we feel as if Ten Hag's having some doubts on the Malacia situation? Joe, do you want to?
Oh, not doubts. No way. Like Malacia is he 21 or is he 19? I can't remember.
It's 22.
22.
It's 22.
I
don't think there's no doubts. I'll be honest with you. The way Ten Hag, and I said it on the channel before, kept on talking about that back four, the Malacia, Varane, Lissandro Martinez, and Delo. He seems like that's his back four. I'll be honest with you. The way even after Arsenal game, I didn't feel like they're ever going to crack us. I just feel like it's one of those moments. Let him recharge the batteries, take him out, let him watch the game from. It's one of those things what you do to up and coming players, you do it to them sometimes. And that's what, as much as Luke Shaw did have a decent performance, I watched the game back 3 times. He doesn't play with the intensity Malacia plays with.
Yeah,
That's still the issue.
But see, the thing is with Malacia, like we're saying, he's 22 and he didn't have the best game against City. Maybe the confidence was knocked. So maybe it's better just, and Goodison Park, you never know what Everton's going to show up. You really don't want to throw him into the Lions Den in Merseyside. So let him rest, let him watch the game, let him take it in. If needed, come on. But like Shaw is a good player. You know what I mean? He's an England international. So like it is, it's not like you're bringing on a nobody. You're not like you're replacing with a youth player that you're worried about. Like Shaw also deserves to play some games after having a bad start too. So I'm glad that Shaw came on. I'm glad Shaw had a good game. And I feel like now it's competition for the left back, and that's what made Shaw the best left back in the world for about 6 months. So then you go to Casemiro, was always going to come in. I thought he had a relatively shaky game, but obviously should have scored, got an assist. So absolute quality. And again, he will go to the next level. It's an adjustment for all these players. So there's no worry. There's just natural progression of better. I won't say better players coming in for the left back, but yeah, I think right now you have slightly equal players. Hopefully Malacia will overtake Shaw and be the left back forever. But like with Casemiro, McTominay, it's a case of McTominay was holding his own because he was deserving to be in that place. And then Casemiro is just a better player who probably needed time to adjust to get used to it. So I think he had a very good game against Everton. I think it's really exciting that he's starting to play now, considering the games we got coming up. I'm sure he will start against how do you say their name again? This is so bad. Ammonia. I keep on saying Omicron Percy I8 for future Arma fans out there. But I'm sure he will start. I'm sure he'll start probably the next 4 games, and that's what we want. And he's rested and he's up for it. He knows, but he's not being thrown at the deep end at all. So I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Dan's put there in terms of Malacia as well. I don't think anybody thought that he would do as well as he's done, and I think that's true. I think he's coming in. He was unbelievable. And I think if anything, it gives Shaw an opportunity to gather a bit of fitness back. And like you said there, Joe, as well, I think Shaw probably wasn't expecting that level of competition, was he? He thought, I'm going to be playing every game, and he's been shocked, and he's had to get his fitness levels up to that standard. But thankfully, he's done, and competition's healthy, I think, to be quite honest. So no. Totally agree. What's your thoughts on that, John? You agree with the lads in terms of, we'll probably see Shaw start most of these like Premier League games and Casemiro?
Yeah, I think obviously last year's new to the league, and I think a lot of people were within the club a bit surprised it took me last year. It happened so quickly that it became the first choice left back. But obviously, Shaw the last couple of games showed a degree of format. I think also the last, particularly against Ammonium, a little bit yesterday, some signs about the Shaw-Rashford partnership coming a little bit back. So I do think it's encouraging that there is competition now. I think they're both 2 different types of left back, and then they'll both have opportunities and that. And I just think also that's what the team needs going forward. If you are to be dropped, it's not the end of the world, but you got to work hard, and eventually you'll get your chance when your rival in the team, has an off day or a couple of off days. And as for Casemiro, he did have a couple of errors in the game. Obviously, he gave the ball away for Everton's goal. He set up Ronaldo's goal. He should have scored a header. But also the assist came from him making a tackle in midfield after he initially gave the ball away as well. So, but overall, he did bring a degree of stability to midfield. I've said about the unbalance in the midfield yesterday. I'm not sure Eriksen and Bruno will work long term. I wouldn't mind seeing like McTominay or a Fred in there, alongside Casemiro, because I think that might give us a little bit more balance in the midfield.
Fred and Casemiro are the starting midfielders for Brazil. So it'll be interesting, especially if they have a great World Cup. It's kind of hard not to start a World Cup winning midfield in the Premier League. So it'll be an interesting call for the first time in his career, people wanting Fred to start.
Well, that's the other thing. Fred isn't getting much opportunity at the moment. When he is, he comes off the bench. He's playing at like a left wing is.
I mean, he's playing attacking mid. He's been playing attacking mid, and that's where he's been getting.
So it's been
brought
a
on
bit.
and playing as number
He's
10.
only really had cameo roles, and he's played in a load of different positions. So that's one thing that I've noticed the last few games. But yeah, I think Casemiro does bring stability to midfield and that, and hopefully again as we learn. Because the team is still learning how to play Ten Hag system and getting used to it. Because players like Anthony Casemiro didn't have a PC, so it will take them time to learn about the players around them and that. But I think eventually they'll start to work things out, and hopefully we'll go from strength to strength.
I just feel like we've got to be careful with the likes of Fred and the Shaws, man. It's only because their contracts are coming to an end soon, and we don't want to. We don't want to top them up again, That's
we never fall for that.
Well,
we never fall for that.
The first priority for Martial is to stay fit.
We got a lot of these players, Rashford, Martial, contracts are all. Do you know what I mean? That's how I see it, man. It's time to move on, man. We've had a lot of furniture at Man United for a long time.
Well, Martial has to stay fit if he wants a new contract.
A proper run club would give him a new contract, though. That's what I'm saying. A proper run club, he wouldn't be here for 7 years. He's been here for 7 seasons now.
Yeah,
there's a lot of talks coming up about that.
Yeah.
So in terms of the next games, and in terms of the Ammonia one, then I assume that we go strong in that game. Do you all sort of agree with that? I think we've got to take confidence from that game, haven't we? Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Annihilate them in the first 60 minutes, take off the big guns, give the kids a run, then annihilate them for another 30 minutes.
That's a good point, actually. I mean, do we want to see any of the sort of young players come into that game? If we do sort of, win the game in the first hour, do we want to see like the Iqbals coming in, the Garnachos? Is that something that we'd like to see? I think it's been a while since we've seen them, isn't it, really? I think Iqbal was on the bench the other night. Was it? I don't think it was this weekend, but it was the last European game. He was on the bench and unused sub. So it'd be nice to see him come on and get 20 minutes, wouldn't it? Yeah, definitely.
I think it's also important that we do actually win at least one of these games really well, like when you score that 4 or 5 goals, because the last thing you want is to go to Real Sociedad, and you want to go there knowing winning by 1 goal will be enough to top the group as well. And you don't want to be going where your goal difference is you're 2 behind them. You need to score 2 to beat them and finish off. So, and that's why I think we've been lucky with them that they haven't battered anyone. Yeah, I mean, they only beat these 2-1 at their place, and I think we really do need to win maybe 4 or 5 on Thursday or against Sheriff at some point to try and boost some goal difference.
I think, coming to that game, I mean, when we got the Sociedad game, I think it's, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 3rd of November, so you're talking like another 5 games away. So obviously we're away, but it's, I think we've got to go to that with some level of confidence. If we come out of the Newcastle, Spurs and Chelsea game with maybe 6 points out of that possible 9, or even maybe more, maybe like 7 points out of the 9, then you've got to be going to that with a level of confidence, haven't you, really, to be fair? Yeah. So, but do we expect much from the Newcastle game this weekend? Are we would a draw? I mean, City drew that game. That was an unbelievable game. I watched that game, and City drew that game. I think it was 3-3, wasn't it, in the end?
Yeah, that was at their ground, though. This at ours.
Yeah, we're at home. We're at home.
We should expect to win.
We should be going to that winning, shouldn't we? But they come with some firepower, don't they? I think
it's not even that the City. Newcastle played good. I think people forgetting this. They actually played good. They dominated them in spells.
Have they only lost to Liverpool?
I
think it's only Liverpool they lost to. So it'll be a tricky game, and obviously you got Tom and Chelsea after that. So I think you want to get at least 7 points from those 3 games.
I think that's fair. I think we get 7 points out of those 3 games. That's a very good 3 games. I think that's what we've got. That's got to be the aim, hasn't it? Definitely. I think. We'll round off the hour, guys. It's been a quick hour. We've had Joe popping in and out. But we got there in the end. So, no, I appreciate your time and appreciate the comments and everybody watching. So thank you for that. Don't forget to follow the guys on Twitter. Everyone's handles below in the left-hand corner. So follow the guys on Twitter. And catch you on the next one. John, do you want to plug the women's channel? Do you want to plug the women's channel?
Yeah, we do have shows. This we usually have a Friday nights for, and I'm not sure if we got any more shows. Hopefully we'll bring a few shows, so watch out for that. But yeah, and the women play at Leeds Sports Village at 12 o'clock on Sunday, so it's just before the Newcastle game. So if you're in the Manchester area, you not got tickets to Newcastle game, I'm up into Leeds Sports Village, and it'll be good to watch. And a good team, the women's team. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a win there.
Brilliant. No, thank you for that, John. And again, like I say, follow everybody on Twitter. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on the channel if you don't already do that. And we'll catch you on the next one, which I think will be the preview show for the Thursday game, which will be on Wednesday.
He's been a bit quiet since joining Forest.
It's been great, hasn't it? Yeah, the prick.
Oh, right. Lingard, has he not done something tonight, has he? Did he do something?
No, that's just
sat on the bench.
Well, there you go. Fire shot by John. Well done, John. Well done, mate. Right. Cheers, guys. Catch you in the next one. See you soon.
See you later.